Hey, fabulous souls, welcome to my Unwavering Thoughts. Here, we're all about growing, thriving, becoming our best selves inside and out. It is also about leveling up, whether it's how we treat ourselves, others, and just life in general. So, join me on this podcast as I share my thoughts on personal growth, self love, seeing yourself the way God sees you, my rookie tips on life, relationships, and of course, love. Let's grow together. Hi, fabulous souls. My name is Amanda Mati, and you're welcome to my Unwavering Thoughts. If this is the first time you're hearing this pretty voice, ensure it's not your last. Make sure you follow me on Apple Podcast and Spotify. And if this is not the first time you're hearing my voice, you're the real MVP. Thank you for coming back to listen to me. Welcome. So I usually upload my podcast every Saturday by 6 p.m. So stay tuned and ensure you share with people around you, someone you love. You never really know who needs to hear any of this, So basically, welcome back again to another episode where we dive deep into the beauty of life, the choices we make, and how each moment shapes us into becoming the grand person that we're meant to be. I am your host, and today we're exploring the topic, a very personal topic for me, It's titled Walking Your Path and Carving Your Own Story. Yeah, walking your path and carving your story. This is a very important one for me because before I thought about this topic, I had to put into consideration talking about my own personal story, which is, I think I've spoken about it, but I think I'll go lightly into my story a bit, but let's see how that goes. So there is a quote that I love so much that I would like to start with. A quote that feels like a guiding light for me. This is how it goes. With every step I take, I carve my story into the canvas of the world. I think this is it's a powerful image, right? It's this idea that every step we take, each decision we make leaves a mark or permanent imprint on how grand our lives will turn out. It is a reminder that we are all walking our own path, creating our own unique journeys, our own unique stories. And today I want to reflect on how every experience we have, whether good or bad, ugly, horrible, or somewhere in between, contributes to the bigger picture of who we are and where we are headed, and adding the God factor in it because he's the author and finisher of everything. He's the Oga Pata Pata. Anyway, let's start with the idea of walking your path, right? It sounds simple, just walking your path. It's just like a road, you're walking your path. But it's actually one of the most profound things we can do as human beings. Each of us are on a journey, but what makes this journey special is that no two paths are exactly the same. Your path is yours and yours alone. And that is there's a time I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we had a conversation. I was like, it's funny how life is that everybody has a different story. Like, not one person has the same story. I cannot say, oh, this is exactly how my story is, and this is exactly how this person's story is. Each person with how, there are billions of people in the world, and upon still we have people with different stories. So there are billions of stories that probably need to be told. It could be similar to another, but we are all on different paths. I needed to hammer on that first before we move on. So think about it. Every day we are, faced with choices, right? Some are small, some are big, like what we eat for breakfast, or what song to play on the way to work, or while we're walking on the street. Other big choices are career changes or relationships or life-altering decisions. But whether big or small, each choice is a step, and with every step we carve a bit more of our story. I'm getting somewhere, but here's the thing. It's easy to feel like we have to follow, a path that someone else has laid out for us. Maybe it's the path society expects us to take, or the one our family believes is the best for us. And while their input is often well-intentioned, not ill-intentioned, of course, you are the one working on that journey, not them. It is you. They've walked theirs. Now it's your turn. You're the one responsible for carving your story, no one else. That's a lot of responsibility, Abby. It is, but it's also incredibly liberating. See, one of the things I've learned, both in life and in the creative spaces I move through like water, is that the most powerful stories are the ones that are authentic. And I think I think you tend to notice that almost all the time. When we walk our own path, when we make decisions based on what truly feels right to us, we are not just following some script that's been handed to us. We are writing our own narrative in our own words, and that in itself is a courageous act. It's a big deal if you ask me. It reminds me of how many of us, myself included, sometimes struggle with the idea of uncertainty. Oh my God, you don't want to know. You want to, yeah, to know exactly where we are going and how things will turn out. But here's the truth. Life doesn't come with a map. It is the truth. There is no guarantee, no set destination, and and that's where the beauty lies. Each step, each decision we make, even the detours are part of the story. It's part of the whole grand plan to take us to exactly where we need to be. I want to take a moment to reflect on the idea of carving your story. Carving, it's not a delicate word, right? It implies effort. You're carrying something. It's not something that happens overnight or without intention. It takes time, patience, and sometimes struggle, but that's what makes it so meaningful. When we carve our story into the world, it means we are leaving something behind. Our lives, our choices, the way we handle experiences, it all becomes a part of our legacy. And here's the beautiful thing: we are not carving alone. The people we meet, the relationships we form, the experiences we go through, these things all add depth and texture to the story we are creating. And most importantly, there is God that is also helping you carve your story. And I think I am learning to trust the process and trust God as well, because there are certain things that happen to me and I'm like, why would this happen? Like, did I give God the impression that I'm a strong person? I'm weak, I'm feeble, I'm frail. But that's not true. I'm just saying that just because I don't suffer head is not my portion. But basically, I am just in constant awe of how the unexpected curveballs come at me. They hit me in the eye, hit me in the head, and they hit me it just takes me back. It sweeps me off my feet. I will hit my face on the floor. I will probably break my ankle. Like, it's just a lot. And to be honest, I know that life is lifing, but then again, it's what makes everything meaningful. It's just what brings us to who we are meant to be. But at the end of the day, it's still your story. It's still your path. And every step you take, every experiences you have contributes to a very large narrative. So, in a way, as much as you're carving your story, it is entirely up to you, of course. I think we often overlook the small steps. Another angle in my own perspective, like from my thought process so far, the seemingly insignificant moments, but they matter just as much as the big milestones. In fact, sometimes it is the small everyday decisions that end up being the most impactful, if you think about it carefully. For example, think about the moments when you chose to say yes to something that scared you, or the times when you took a big step, a step in a direction that felt uncertain but ultimately led you to growth. Maybe it was deciding to take a chance on a new opportunity, or simply choosing to be kinder to yourself on a very hard day. Each of those moments, each of those decisions is a step forward on your path. I would like to, have, like, for example, I've been in the tech space since 2021, and I've been in that tech space since that time until 2023 when I said enough is enough. I'm not cut out for this. This is not my thing. And I was like, I'm going to quit it. And I saw an opportunity and I took it in filmmaking. I was already a filmmaker before I became a tech person, but I liked filmmaking. I missed it and I wanted to go back to it, and it's something that I'm really, really into. I saw an opportunity and I went into the whole thing. But that opportunity that I felt like was grand, was a beautiful one for me, was cut short and is currently leaving me in a state of what the hell is going on. But I'm learning to trust the process, like I said earlier, learn to trust the process, that there is a bigger story in front. And I made that decision out of a strong will to succeed in a path that I loved and enjoyed, not in the path that I had to force on myself just because I wanted to follow the crowd, if that makes sense. So when I look back at my own journey, there are so many moments that felt insignificant at the time, but now I realize how crucial they were to shaping who I am. Each experiences, whether it was a success or a failure or something in between, it carved a part of my story. Even the moments that were painful or challenging played their parts in my life. And that's the thing about life. It's all part of the process. The smooth steps and the rocky ones, they are all necessary to make you the person that you're meant to be. And I cannot wait to Jesus, you don't have no idea how I'm so excited to meet my future self and be like, this you tried and look at who you are now, and make my younger self proud as well. But here's the part I love the most about this idea of carving your story. It is ongoing. It never stops. Your story isn't finished. Every day you wake up, you have the opportunity to keep creating, to keep shaping the path ahead of you. You can make new choices, take new steps, rewrite old chapters if you need to. And that's the power you have. And that's the power that God has blessed you with, to take charge of your life, to make certain choices. And God gave us that free will for a reason, and to take charge of our lives. Not that we cannot depend on Him, but He wants us to there's this thing, like God wants us to know that we choose Him, that we trust Him. And that that's the most empowering part, knowing that you are not stuck in one place, that you have the power to change your direction, to pivot, to try something new, that even when things feel uncertain or overwhelming, you're still in control of your own narrative, your own story. Like I always tell people, you're the author of your story, and every moment you're given is a blank page to fill. It's like you're waking up every morning and you're like, what am I going to do today? What history am I going what am I going to write on my blank page today? So what are you going to write on your blank page today? How are you carving your story? So if you're listening to this and you're feeling a little lost, I was feeling a little lost last week, and for some reason, after solitude, reflecting on myself, reflections, evaluating, I gained a bit of clarity. Maybe wondering what your path is or where you're headed next isn't important. You might be listening to this and you're like, oh my God, I'm so lost. I feel out of place in this world. As a matter of fact, that is how I was feeling last week, like I said earlier. And you also may be wondering why your path, or where you're headed to, and what you're supposed to do next. I want you to close your eyes and take a very deep breath. Inhale. Exhale. Do that for at least 1 to 2 minutes. Your path is yours, and there's no right or wrong way to walk it. Every step, whether it's forward, sideways, or backward, or flying, whatever, is a part of your story. And is in those steps, the ones filled with uncertainty, with courage, and with intention, that creates the most beautiful narratives. With every decision you make, you're carving your story into the canvas of the world, And even though you might not, like always see the bigger picture in the moment, trust that you're creating something meaningful, something that's entirely yours. Trust that God has your back. Trust that God is holding your hand throughout the process. Even if you can't see him, trust him. If there's anything I want you to do is trust God in this process, in this time of need, in this time where you feel tried, trials and tribulations of the world. So as we wrap up this episode, I want you to ask yourself this question: what kind of story do you want to carve into the world? What steps can you take today that align with the person you want to become? So remember, your path is unique, and with each step you take, you're leaving a mark. So walk your path with confidence, with grace, and with an unwavering belief that you are the creator of your own narrative. Thank you so much for tuning in today and joining me on this journey of self-discovery. I hope that this episode inspires you to reflect on your own path and how each decision, no matter how big or small, contributes to the larger picture of your life. So, until next time, keep walking, keep carving, and remember, your story is still unfolding and it is a beautiful one. Just trust it. If you enjoyed this episode of Unwavering Thought Podcast, make sure you subscribe and follow for more reflections on life, growth, and the journey of becoming. I'm your host, Oman Damati, and I will see you on the next episode. Stay unwavering in your path and do not forget to follow, like I said earlier. Thank you. Love you. Mwah.